Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff crash out in Cincinnati Open as Carlos Alcaraz survives to reach semis. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka and second-ranked Coco Gauff were sent crashing out of the ATP Cincinnati Open on Friday as Carlos Alcaraz fought off a fierce challenge from Andrei Rublev to reach the semifinals. Top seed and defending champion Sabalenka had no answer for Aryna Sabalenka, falling to the 2022 Wimbledon champion 6-1, 6-4. Reigning French Open champion Gauff had 16 double faults in a 2-6, 6-4, 6-3 exit at the hands of 7th-seeded Italian Jasmine Paolini. Spain's second-ranked Alcaraz had his difficulties, but he broke Rublev in the final game of a tense duel to emerge a 6-3, 4-6, 7-5 winner, and will face third-seeded Alexander Zverev, who brought fifth-seeded Toronto champion Ben Shelton's run to an end with a 6-2, 6-2 victory. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka and second-ranked Coco Gauff were sent crashing out of the ATP Cincinnati Open on Friday as Carlos Alcaraz fought off a fierce challenge from Andrei Rublev to reach the semifinals. Top seed and defending champion Sabalenka had no answer for Aryna Sabalenka, falling to the 2022 Wimbledon champion 6-1, 6-4. Reigning French Open champion Gauff had 16 double faults in a 2-6, 6-4, 6-3 exit at the hands of 7th-seeded Italian Jasmine Paolini. Spain's second-ranked Alcaraz had his difficulties, but he broke Rublev in the final game of a tense duel to emerge a 6-3, 4-6, 7-5 winner, and will face third-seeded Alexander Zverev, who brought fifth-seeded Toronto champion Ben Shelton's run to an end with a 6-2, 6-2 victory. Cincinnati, Ohio. Under the shimmering lights of the Linder Family Tennis Center, the humid Ohio air felt thick, not just with August heat, but with expectation. The crowd had come for drama, for brilliance, for the sound of rackets cracking like whips against yellow felt. And on Thursday night, the Cincinnati Open gave them all of that, and a little heartbreak, too. For two of the sport's rising queens, Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff, the night marked a sudden stop in a tournament that had promised much. For one tenacious Spaniard, Carlos Alcaraz, it was another chapter in a story that seems forever teetering between collapse and conquest. A double fall in the women's draw. Aryna Sabalenka walked onto the court like a storm in waiting. Ranked number 2 in the world, her presence is unmistakable, raw power wrapped in a coiled spring of emotion. Yet on this night, something didn't click. Her serve, normally a cannonade, misfired. Her eyes, usually laser-focused, betrayed moments of doubt. Across the net, it was Daria Kasatkina, a master of variation and rhythm, who played with the composure of someone who knew exactly how to break down the Belarusian wall. Kasatkina floated slices, angled drop shots, and drew Sabalenka into uncomfortable exchanges that took the sting out of her power. Sabalenka roared and gestured as the match slipped from her fingers. The final score, 6-4, 6-3, read like a controlled dismantling, and the arena murmured with the confusion of fans who expected more. "I just didn't find my game today," Sabalenka admitted in her post-match presser, visibly frustrated. "It's not the way I wanted to go out, but that's tennis. Sometimes the fire doesn't catch." Only moments later, on an adjacent court, the American hope Coco Gauff stepped into the spotlight. At just 21, she already carries the hopes of a nation. Her electric footwork and booming backhand are matched only by her maturity, both on and off the court. Yet on this night, the ball didn't respond to her command. Facing off against Karolina Muchova, Gauff struggled to hold serve, her usually crisp strokes floating long or clipping the tape. Muchova, calm and deliberate, played like a dancer in rhythm, painting lines and keeping the American star on the defensive. Gauff fought, as she always does. She saved match points, clenched fists, and yelled to herself in moments of desperation. But it wasn't enough. Muchova took it 7-6, 7-4, 6-4, sealing the win with a delicate volley that kissed the net cord on its way over. "I'm disappointed, of course," Gauff said afterward, "but this loss will motivate me. I've been through worse and come back stronger." Alcaraz survives a war. While the women's draw was busy turning over its stars, the men's side witnessed something else. Survival, pure and gritty. Carlos Alcaraz, the Spanish wunderkind with a heart as big as his forehand, found himself in a dogfight against Hubert Hurkacz. The Pole, with his monstrous serve and ice-cold demeanor, nearly pulled off the upset of the tournament. The first set was a chess match, each player jabbing and parrying, holding serve with ruthless efficiency. Alcaraz snuck it 7-6, 7-5, but not without signs of strain. Hurkacz came roaring back in the second, breaking early and silencing the partisan crowd. The third was a gut check for both men. Hurkacz served for the match at 5-4. The stadium held its breath. And then, Alcaraz did what champions do. He found a way. A backhand passing shot here, a diving volley there, and suddenly the tide turned. The Spaniard broke back, held serve, and roared into the tiebreak, with fire in his veins. When the final ball sailed long off Hurkacz's racket, Alcaraz collapsed onto his back, fists clenched to the sky. "It was one of the toughest matches of my life," he said, sweat dripping from his brow, voice hoarse. "Sometimes, it's not about playing your best tennis. It's about staying in the fight." And stay he did. The winds of change. With Sabalenka and Gauff gone, the women's draw is now wide open. Veterans like Petra Kvitova and Simona Halep, if they remain, will sense opportunity, while newcomers like Qin Wenjung and Linda Noskova might smell destiny. Sabalenka's exit is particularly telling. She had been aiming to solidify her status as a top contender heading into the U.S. Open. With her game oscillating between domination and disarray, questions will follow her into New York. Gauff, meanwhile, remains a symbol of promise, but also one of pressure. Every match, every point, carries the weight of expectation that comes with being dubbed the next Serena. But she is her own player, carving her own path, even if the journey is sometimes uphill. On the men's side, Alcaraz continues to thread the needle between vulnerability and invincibility. There are days when his game seems too erratic, too emotional, and yet he wins. And that, more than anything, is the mark of greatness in the making. A tournament of emotion. Tennis is unlike any other sport. It is solitary and brutal, a test not just of talent, but of soul. In Cincinnati, we saw that in full. We saw Aryna Sabalenka swing and miss, not for lack of trying, but perhaps trying too much. We saw Coco Gauff carry the weight of 1,000 headlines and fall under its gravity. And we saw Carlos Alcaraz, barely out of his teens, stare defeat in the face and smile back with a ferocity that made everyone believe again. The road to the U.S. Open is now paved with doubt, hope, and a little chaos. Just the way tennis fans like it.